Hey everybody, Walking the Floor is made possible with support from Fender Play. Have you or someone you know been looking to learn how to play the guitar? Well, my friends over at Fender recently introduced Fender Play, the complete learning platform from the most trusted name in guitar. And it really is the quickest and easiest way to learn how to play with on-demand guitar lessons through a video-based platform designed to help you play your favorite songs and learn key skills in minutes. For your free trial of Fender Play, check out fender.com/walking the floor. I mean, come on, how do you think I learned how to play this?
Hey guys, we're Carolina Story.
And you're listening to Walking the Floor.
That was so good. So pro. So pro.
I'm walking the floor over you.
Walking the floor.
I'm walking the floor. Walking the floor over you.
Hola, senors and senoritas. This is Chris Shiflett, and you're listening to another fine edition of your favorite podcast, Walking the Floor. Okay, so there's one thing and one thing only to talk about today, and that is the big announcement we made last week of a bunch of tour dates for next year. I'm going on the road with Elizabeth Cook and Kendall Marvel in February and March of 2019. We announced it last week. Tickets went on sale on Friday. So go to my website, chrisshiflettmusic.com. All the dates and all the ticket links are up and live, and you can get your tickets now and check out where that tour is going. We've been working on that for quite a while, keeping it a secret, and it's finally out there, and I'm so excited. Can't wait. With my good buddies Elizabeth Cook and Kendall Marvel. It's all solo acoustic shows. We're going to be out there getting all sensitive with our acoustic guitars, with our Martins and our Gibsons and our Fenders and whatnot. A couple other shows locally. Before then, I'm playing on the 9th of December. A Life Rolls On benefit. I think it's gonna. They shifted it a little bit now. I think since the fires and all that stuff out in Malibu, it's now a benefit for victims of that as well. And that's at the Rose Room in Venice, December 9th. Life Rolls On. And I think I'm also going to play a show out in Thousand Oaks that's another benefit for fire victims and shooting victims at a new spot out there called Oak and Iron. I think it's an early gig on December 14th, and I'm not sure 100%, but I think that Johnny Two Bags from Social D is playing that one as well. So fingers crossed, hopefully. I'll put that info up on the website too. But the big announcement, Elizabeth Cook, Kendall Marvel, Chris Shiflett, getting in a van together and hitting the road with our acoustic guitars, 2019. The first of, well, that's not the first. I guess the first tour dates I'm doing are with Blackberry Smoke, but we're kicking it off January, February, March of next year, and then there's going to be a whole lot more to come. We're working on more dates and still figuring out getting my record out, so stay tuned, kids. All right, again, a big thanks to Fender Play for making this episode of Walking the Floor absolutely free. Don't forget, Fender Play is the complete learning platform from the most trusted name in guitar, available on desktop and mobile, so you can learn anytime, anywhere. And it really is the quickest and easiest way to learn how to play guitar. How do you think I learned how to play the guitar? How do you think I got the gig in the Foo Fighters, man? Fender Play. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it does help. As a matter of fact, when I get done recording this, I'm going to go over there and check out the Dwight Yoakam Guitars Cadillacs lesson that they have up there, because they got all your favorite tunes, man. Fender Play. Make sure you go to fender.com/walking the floor for your free trial of Fender Play. And also, support for Walking the Floor comes from D'Addario. D'Addario, a fine maker of USA-made instrument strings and musical accessories, who's committed to sustainability through the Playback program, recycling over 1 million used instrument strings. For more information on the Playback program and how to help in its mission of reaching 2.5 million strings in 2018, please visit playback.daddario.com. And also, don't forget our friends at Zounds.com, where every order $599 and above is eligible for their exclusive 12-part payment plan. With no application process, no interest charged, ever, And you just pay that first monthly installment and your gear ships immediately. Okay, let's get on over to today's interview. Okay, so I've been doing this podcast for the last few years, and I kind of learned how to do interviews on the job. I was just winging it, really just by jumping in and starting this thing. And I have found that sometimes, really what you're doing here is you're sitting down most of the time with strangers, and you're trying to have a conversation, a casual conversation with people you don't know, and you don't know what they're into, and you don't know really all that much about them. And sometimes that can be very awkward. But then there's these other magic times where you sit down with people you don't know, and it's just instantly comfortable, and instantly the conversation starts flowing, and you just feel like you're old friends, even though you never met them before. And that's what this conversation with Ben and Emily from Carolina Story was like for me. We just kind of got right into it, and it was just instantly comfortable, and they were great. We talked about all the usual stuff: where you're from, how'd you get started, what drew you to music, blah, 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 all that sort of stuff. But then we got into a really honest talk about, the trials and tribulations of being a young band or young artists starting out in this industry, and how difficult that is, and how there was a point in their career not that long ago where they thought about packing it in, and then ultimately they persevered and things started to come together, and I'll let them explain it. Here we are. It's Ben and Emily from Carolina Story on Walking the Floor. I've been doing a bunch of interviews this week, and there's been a rugged outdoorsman theme. So I'm going to start with whitewater rafting.
Nice.
Which you're probably sick of answering questions about, but I'm intrigued.
Actually,
No, we haven't had a whole lot.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah,
great. Okay, well, tell me about whitewater rafting. You were a whitewater rafting guide at one point, and really what I'm getting at here ultimately is, will you take me whitewater rafting?
Absolutely, I will take you. We've just got to get a raft first.
Get some whitewater.
For 5 years, I've been looking around for used rafts. Those things are expensive.
Really?
In 2006, I did a Knowles semester, National Outdoor Leadership School.
Yeah,
Spent
cool.
a semester and, accredited through the University of Utah. And we were doing tons of rock climbing and backcountry skiing and whitewater rafting and whitewater canoeing. And that's where I really kind of fell in love with it. And we were in Utah. And then that summer, I had a couple buddies that were going to work for a company called NOC in western North Carolina in Hot Springs, and this small town there on the banks of the French Broad. And so we all, got jobs out there, and we were on the Chattooga River where they filmed Deliverance.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so, it's constant banjo music.
That was the more dangerous one,
Squeal
right?
like a piggy.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you ever have a bad experience with that? Did you ever get into an emergency situation?
Yeah,
that was
several.
the more dangerous river.
Yeah, the Chattooga, I think on average 2 to 3 people pass on that river a year. It's pretty intense, and I ended up being transferred. I said, "Hey, man, this has been awesome, but I'm trying to drink beer and hang out with my buddies and not have people's lives in my hands at every moment." Yeah. So I got transferred to the French Broad River there in Hot Springs, North Carolina, and that was a little more chill, still intense. But one day we were canoeing on an off day and probably had a little bit too much to drink and weren't really being smart. Not many of us had life jackets on, and one of our buddies, he almost drowned.
Really?
We floated this little creek there that floods after a rainstorm, and we hadn't really scouted it and stuff. So, and there was just nothing much we could do but watch him, And he got out of the boat and ended up kicking against a rock and got out. But he was underwater for, close to a minute.
Wow.
And that really kind of shook me up a little bit. You
Right.
know? I haven't kayaked since. I stay in an open boat. Yeah.
Right.
Now I do whitewater canoeing and rafting.
Oh, that's something you still do?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, cool.
Yeah.
Wait, are you guys from North Carolina? Or is it-
So that's the confusing part. I'm actually from South Dakota.
Okay.
Then from Arkansas.
Yeah.
And we met in Memphis. And
then-
so North Carolina was like our first trip together as a couple. And then also just hey, it was on that trip in North Carolina where we decided to start writing music together.
After I had been a raft guide there, and then I met Emily the following year in Memphis, I decided to, I wanted to take her to, some of the places that I loved, the rivers and stuff. And we went on a week-long camping trip, and we were both I was in a band in Memphis, and she was a singer-songwriter, and on that trip we decided to, hey, when we get back to Memphis, let's start a band. So Carolina Story, and it sort of stuck.
Okay.
I tried to get rid of the name several times.
It hasn't worked yet.
It just following us around.
Well, I'm curious, what paths were you guys on prior to that? Like, you just kind of mentioned you were both in bands or singing or making music, but like, where had you both been? What's sort of your life story up to that point?
This one, he can spend hours telling you his journey, but mine was a little bit more simple. Like, just as soon as I graduated high school, I knew I wanted to pursue music some way, somehow. But coming from South Dakota, the big city was a little scarier. And Memphis was the spot. They had a small independent music school. And I took my chances and went there and graduated there and then met this guy. So,
why isn't some of the hustle and bustle of modern day Nashville spilling over into Memphis? Or is it? And I just don't know.
It's not. And I don't know. I wondered the same thing too.
For a place with such musical history, such an important place for this country's musical heritage.
You can almost feel it when you're there.
Yeah, I'm actually grateful that happened before Nashville for us.
Yeah, I'm glad that Memphis, was, while I had the idea to start the band in North Carolina. I mean, Memphis is where we started the band, and we lived for 4 years, in school, or almost 4 years.
And are you in Nashville now?
We are. We've been there almost a decade. We bought a little house over there in East Nashville.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before the hubbub. So.
I jumped in there before you had a chance to tell your story up to that point.
I'll make it as quick as I can. So I'm from South Arkansas, Pine Bluff, to be exact, and I went and played college football for a semester in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Oh, wow.
At Assumption College, and I ended up getting the starting gig, and as a freshman, but I didn't really go to class very much, and that didn't work out. So I ended up.
Were you already playing music at that point?
Yeah, I had been playing music in bands. I started playing when I was 12, and was in a band all through high school. But that band broke up senior year.
What did you do when the jocks fought the rockers, man? Whose side were you on?
I was always the diffuser. I was always the diffuser of like, hey guys, man, he's a cool dude. Lay off of him, man.
Funny.
It was always kind of weird towing that line of like playing sports and also being in bands. I had friends in all different every little circle and clique.
I'm trying to keep. I have 3 boys, and I'm trying to keep them in team sports. My oldest is going into 9th grade right now, and he's at a phase, or not a phase, he's just at that point where he's like, I don't want to play on the soccer team anymore. I just want to skateboard and surf. And I'm like, it's so weird as a parent I'm like, yes, skateboarding and surfing, yes. But at the same time, I'm like, no, you have to keep doing the soccer. Is that something you look back on? Did you get something positive out of that experience? So
much.
Right.
They
say it keeps your kids out of trouble.
I can't understate it enough. I mean, we have a son too, so he'll be 4 next month, so we'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there. But I think it's something, if he's interested in it, I would like for him to do it because just sort of communication skills and I don't know, sort of heading this outfit up, the last 10 years, and we've always done our own booking, all these things. I feel like it's really kind of helped me sort of to kind of run the business, so to speak, the band, Anyway, so I did that, and then I transferred to the University of Arkansas. I'm a big Razorbacks fan, and joined the fraternity that my dad was in.
Really?
Yeah, and was there for a year, and that was a total trip, and I didn't really fit in with that little world either,
Yeah.
I was, my little band band of friends in the fraternity was like, we would just go camping all the time. We didn't go to school really,
Right.
And a lot of the other guys in the fraternity, that popped their collars and stuff, and it was kind of a weird rub between my mix of friends and theirs. But then we.
I should warn, or I will tell you that I interviewed another Arkansas native yesterday. This guy Justin Moore, and I was wearing. I didn't even think about it because I actually never went to college, so I don't know anything about rivalries or any of that stuff. But I was wearing a Kentucky University T-shirt.
Oh no!
Because we'd played some soccer there, when we were on tour not too long ago. And when they came, in, like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, we don't want that stuff, man. We'll pick Suey.
Yeah.
No, and so I left there. That's when I did the Knowles semester out west, and then
Brevard.
Then I did the raft guiding thing, and then went to school outside of Asheville in Brevard, North Carolina, for a semester. And then my parents were like, "Dude, get your ass home, man. You need to figure out what you're doing with your life."
Right? Did you know at that point, like, I want to make music?
Yeah.
That's
I
my
felt
life.
like I kind of there for several years. I tried, sports, and I was doing the fraternity thing, and I was trying to find my way essentially, and the outdoor stuff. Always was interested in that. And
well, I was going to add too, when you were whitewater rafting, you were a guide. You said late at night you guys would get around a campfire and
that
play
was
music, and
that was really what kind of reconnected me to the acoustic guitar, especially. After when we'd get done on the river, we'd get some beer and some moonshine from a dude up the road, and we had a guy who had an upright bass, and we had a couple fiddles and mandolins and guitars,
Really?
and we would just
around
play
an upright bass out in the camp and
Yeah,
camping?
we all lived on. It was like a commune, man.
Okay,
It was like we all
right,
lived kind of in
yeah.
these shacks.
I was gonna say,
on
man,
the river.
that'd be tough to be hiking that thing
I know.
up a mountainside.
Yeah, so it was cool. That was what we did every night. Was play John Prine and just all kinds of different traditional songs and Neil Young, and that's where I learned to play the harmonica. Taught myself, and just around the campfires, and that was when I really was like, man, okay, like music that's what I want to do.
Right.
And,
even backing up from that, like when you were kids or growing up, what do you think it was that drew you to music in the first place? For me, it was my older brothers, really, ultimately. And luckily they had good record collections. But, like, what was it for you guys?
man, that's a really good question, because I, not unfortunately, but there's nobody in my family that ever played music or did anything musical. So I think it was just me singing along with the radio initially, and my dad always had country music on.
And he
so
still to this day calls it country and western.
Yeah.
My dad does. It's amazing.
So I would sing, like Crazy by Patsy Cline, and just a bunch of like old traditional country music. And then it was in 5th grade, my teacher took notice and gave me my first solo, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep pursuing this, and did piano lessons and all that kind of stuff.
And so, like, what would you say, like, your kind of main influences musically would be?
Well, it was definitely country music, but then it wasn't until college that I really dived in, and when I met this guy, he really introduced me to a lot of great people. But if I were to pick someone specifically, it's Graham Parsons with Emmylou Harris.
Yeah.
Their harmonies, the harmonies that she picked, like, they just really resonate with me. They're just unique harmonies that I want to learn and pick out.
Right. I've never sort of listened to it analytically.
Yeah,
but, like,
you should.
Is she doing stuff that isn't just sort of picking
No.
the third
Yeah, she's
out?
not just,
she's not.
she'll do the third for a little bit and then jump up to this weird high thing. It's so
Check
cool
it out
to me.
for sure.
Yeah. What about you? What do you think it was?
Well, and
that
I got to
got
chime
you
in. I mean, Brandy Carlisle
yeah.
really, once you heard the Story album,
Yes.
that really kind of shaped you. And,
Yeah.
and really us, too, when we first met. That's how I kind of got to spend time with her. Like, she wanted nothing to do with me and at all, And it was actually my roommate in college. His name was Ben, too. And she would, like, tell her mom, like, there's these two Bens vying over me. It's Artie Ben, which was not me.
Yeah.
I was Football Ben.
Football
so
Ben.
what a terrible nickname.
Turns out he's
Football
the Artie
Ben.
Ben.
Yeah,
and the
exactly.
football,
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, and so I learned, like, most of Brandy's The Story album on guitar, and was like, hey, I can play this, you can sing, I'll do the the Hands Are All Twins kind of harmonies. And so the first song we sang together was Josephine by Brandy Carlisle. And but anyway, but let's back, we were talking about influences.
Yeah,
right?
just like what kind of drew you into music, because from a lot of people it's church, it's family, it's environment, whatever it is.
I mean, we both grew up, in the Presbyterian church, hymns and stuff. I can, always, I remember as a kid being in the choir, and, I'd sneak in and, like, just play the piano in the sanctuary. You know, I didn't know what I was doing, but those were sort of my first moments of being stirred by music, you know, the harmonies and hymns and stuff. And then once I, you know, summer of 97, when I was 12 years old, and, you know, the Third Eye Blind self-titled album, that one grabbed me. And, you know, then I discovered, you know, when I heard Smells Like Teen Spirit for the first time, you know, that stuff, Bush, different bands like that. You know, then Foo Fighters, My Hero, different things. You know, I remember the video, and that sort of teen phase is what really, you know, I was like, Mom, Dad, please, like, I want a guitar, you know. Yeah. And my dad had always, you know, we would always ride around fishing and stuff, and he was always playing, you know, the band, George Jones, Neil Young, Cat Stevens.
Those your dad was cool.
Yes,
yeah.
He is.
No, he's awesome.
He's got a good record collection.
Yeah. I mean, he's the man, and so I attribute a lot of that to my dad, you know. Neil and really, George Jones. My dad didn't love a lot of country music, but he always had George Jones going.
That's a good one to go with.
Yeah.
And then when Dad let me hear Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Four-Way Street, the live album, you know, that was kind of it for me. You know, when you hear Neil do Cowgirl on the Sand, like that was everything. It's like, how can I play the guitar like that, and how can I sound that way, you know?
Yeah, how can I play the guitar?
I know.
I'm still wondering.
I know. I'm still trying.
Well, when you, I don't remember now. I think you might have touched on it, but how did you two come together? I mean, you talked about going out to North Carolina or whatever to go camping, but what was in I guess in college or whatever you were in pursuit, and you outmaneuvered Artie Ben. So
I did.
There you go. But like, what was, you know, how did that happen that you guys, you know?
Yeah, man, that was.
It was August 3rd, 2007.
A decade.
Yep.
And
when we met.
I knew he was obnoxious. I was not. It was like one of those things that is like, it was a turnoff. Like, you're trying too hard. You know?
If I were to listen to my own wife, she might say I'm more obnoxious now. I don't think that goes. That doesn't
go away.
Yeah, that doesn't lessen.
But yeah, it was one of those things. And I also too was like on this path of music, and I was like, well, he's gonna ruin that if I get involved.
She always saw like my involvement with her, or her involvement with me, being like something that would derail her sort of dreams to, you know, eventually move to Nashville and you know, start doing music on her own. But lo and behold, that couldn't be further from the truth.
So when you guys got together, it was because I was wondering if it was sort of the romantic side of it came first, or the music side. But it sounds like they were pretty much intertwined.
You know, like the music thing again. I mean, learning that album and kind of presenting that to Emily was sort of then we started hanging out, you know.
Right. And were you guys already writing songs separately before? Oh, no.
Oh, yes,
separately.
Before,
Right.
For sure.
And then how soon was it until you started writing songs together? And I'm curious what that process is, you know, for you. Like, do you woodshed something, bring it in? Do you woodshed something, or do you just kind of do it together?
It's both of that, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
different.
I feel like, you know, when we first did start writing, it was very spontaneous. I feel like we didn't ever just like, let's sit down and really try to write something. It was always, I think, you know, the ideas were overflowing at that point. Mm-hmm. Now I would say it's a little bit more planned out because we have 2 little kids that we have to say, let's set some time. Let's shut the door on the kids and, you know, go right.
I totally get that, because I mean, really, that's why I have this place, because I can't do that at home.
No,
because I got 3 boys, and you know, it's just too much going on there.
Even if you have an idea, you know, it's like really hard to kind of get yourself.
Our son
into
Wilder,
place.
he isn't the biggest supporter of Carolina Story. He usually tells us, "Please stop singing."
He just wants us to take him to the park and play with dump trucks.
Yeah.
So,
although lately, like the only song he knows, is "Spanish Pipe Dream" by John Prine, and he's always singing that. And he's always he's in his little teepee he's got in his room. He's got a little small piano and one of my busted harmonicas, and a notepad, and the mandolin. You know,
his studio.
Oh, nice. That's about the right size.
Yeah, and that's his studio. You know,
I will tell you, and maybe it'll be different for you. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. But you know, with my own kids, I had them so like dialed into my record collection when they were little. And then there's a point where all of a sudden the outside world becomes a bigger influence on them. And now they just think my music is like so lame. Anytime I put anything on, they're like, no, turn that off.
Check this out.
Yeah, it's funny. You think you're in the clear on that stuff, and then I don't know, you're not. Or at least I'm not.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm always kind of, have the gears churning from a writing standpoint. And Emily's really good about just like bringing a line she heard in a conversation or something, and I'll usually kind of
the world around.
And I'll usually kind of go and take that and woodshed it, as you said. Being married, I'll bring it to her, and she's usually pretty honest, which I think kind of cuts through a lot of the stuff, and you can just get more done,
Sure.
She'll say, that's just really not that good,
right.
Right.
Oh,
man.
That's
or we save that for another project that's not Carolina Story.
That's not us, yeah.
It's funny, man. I feel like my wife goes out of her way to find something to be like. She feels like she has to critique it. She can't just go like, "Oh, good job."
Good.
No, it's
like
great.
She has to. I don't know about the guitar solo.
I don't know.
It's not so good.
It could be completely fine.
Exactly. That's why we're there.
Yeah. That's funny.
Then you'll make a change, and she'll say, "No, I like it the way it was."
Yeah, the way you did it first. You're overthinking it.
Yeah.
Like, what are the? Because it's a little unusual. A husband and wife, deal working together. Like, what are the pros and also the cons of being married to your creative partner?
Yeah. I think the pro is the con. You get to spend so much time together.
Right.
We have so many friends who. They're married and they have separate, 9-to-5 jobs or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And the only time they get to see each other is, at work, or maybe just a little bit in the morning, or after work, and, we're always together, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
But can also wear on you, a little bit. I know I can wear on her quite a bit.
Well, and a lot of times we'll get into the evening and I'm like, let's not talk about them anymore.
Them. She's always like, them, or they need to pay us more.
Yeah, they need to make us more money.
Like they are us.
Carolina
Story just really kind of bringing us down. It's like, well, that's you, man.
Yeah, that's us.
When you guys first started out and first started touring, you mentioned a minute ago that you were like, booking yourselves and all that sort of thing. Like, how did you get out on the road? Were you touring as a duo, or did you take a band? Is the band thing a more recent?
That's
addition?
A very recent thing,
right.
Just a financial situation, we still are booking ourselves. I booked this tour,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Not by choice. So if there's any booking agents out there.
Really? It seems like that would be a no-brainer.
Well, the music biz,
right?
I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been DIY until about a year ago. Our label came into the picture, which has been helpful.
Been amazing.
Which label is it?
They're called Black River, and they, 2 years ago we had kind of pulled back the reins, or 3 years ago when our son was born, and. We had been just touring as a duo, about 3 weeks out of every month.
For 7 years.
Just for 7 years, really going at a clipping rate and really wearing ourselves down and playing a lot of quantity shows instead of quality. And anyway, and we kind of, when Emily got pregnant, it was like, hey, let's kind of pull back the reins here and kind of reevaluate because we're burning at both ends here. I started substitute teaching there in Nashville. When we get off the road, I would... which was really interesting. And then, a year in, they offered me this creative writing internship. And so I taught for 2 years creative writing in the 5th grade, and coached 4 sports.
Really?
And was working at a bakery, a year and a half ago. And, just music was sort of taken. It was like it was maybe not going to happen anymore. We were always going to be Carolina Story and write songs and tour a little, but it was the way it was going. It was like, well, maybe the winds are changing, and I had my grad school applications ready to go, and we got a call from our attorney who said, hey, there's this label who, caught wind of you guys, and, would you be interested in coming and playing some songs? And we said, what the hell? And we played 3 songs for them, and, they, we sort of took our time, got to know each other, and so they ended up starting Black River Americana, the imprint, for us, because we're not. They're typically pop country and stuff. Is what the river or the label does.
Right.
And but they said, hey, I don't know how we're going to do this, but we got to be involved. And,
right.
We want to help tell help people hear your story. And
up to that point, and because it's only your latest record, Lay Your Head Down, that's in Spotify. But don't you guys have other records from before?
We do.
So how come those are not in the digital realm?
Yeah, I think we decided just to pull them back because actually this Lay Your Head Down record has 5 old songs on it.
Oh, okay.
It was like we wanted to take our catalog and look through it and go, okay, let's look through our catalog. Let's pick the best songs that we love.
Like now that we have a platform,
exactly.
It was literally gonna get the music out there.
Just,
and there's stuff there I feel too that I
don't think we had found our sound.
Right.
For whatever reason, and maybe people would think that's a
cop
out. I mean,
it
was like I feel like this album is just now like we've sort of. This album is a snapshot of our last 10 years, of our story together, and we feel good about it. I felt like this was a good, album to kind of be the first one,
right?
There,
I mean, in that moment when you were sort of before the record deal came along, and you were thinking about maybe chucking it in or whatever. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned going back to school, but did you have like a plan B in mind of what you were gonna wind up doing?
Not really.
I was going to do, the teaching thing had really kind of taken root, and I really took to that and coaching. And
has that given you some insight into parenting? Having to deal with all those kids, a bunch of kids?
Absolutely.
Right.
And I think it's helped me as a writer too. I mean, they pretty much let me create my own curriculum, which is kind of mind blowing.
Yeah.
This long haired dude who doesn't have a teaching degree,
Yeah.
And, we would break down songs, so I had them breaking down Bob Dylan, Forever Young, and different stuff. So, I kind of got to learn and research myself,
and to hear those kids come up with reasons why they think Bob Dylan wrote that. Like, I'm sure that...
Or what it means to them. It was really cool to kind of, impact young kids in that way and turn them on to, the music that impacted me.
Yeah, the greats.
So whether they know it now or not, maybe in 20 years, one of those kids is like, hey, Mr. Roberts, played me the band, and that was that.
Totally. I mean, looking back on that moment, like if the record label thing hadn't come along, I mean, do you think you would have quit? Like, were you at that point?
Yeah, I think so.
Right. Well, I think, like he said, I think Carolina Story would still have always existed, and we'd still play like those gigs every so often, but it was more like we got a family now. We got to make money somehow.
Right.
Yeah, it was just sort of the way it was going, kind of you got to do what you got to do kind of scenario.
What do you do now when you guys go on tour? Do you bring your kids with you?
Well, some, and sometimes we don't. Like this one is sort of the release tour, so it's almost a month.
You're doing this every day?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
and we've got the band with us. And,
right.
We just kind of went back and forth and ended up, our daughter Lily's 9 months old or 10 months old, and she's with Emily's parents in South Dakota, and our son Wilder's with my parents in Nashville.
Yeah, that's cool.
But my sister has a farm, an organic farm, so he runs around there and helps them plant and harvest and all that. So we actually went through Sioux Falls on the tour and got to spend a little bit of time with them. So
that's when you really appreciate your in-laws.
Yes.
Absolutely, man. So it's been tough being away from them.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, but like I wanted to say something too. Like once the record deal and all that happened, and we sort of got a plan for this album, and when we assembled there in the studio in Nashville, it was. We were getting ready to record Lay Your Head Down, which was the first song that we recorded up for the album. And I looked down at my phone just as we're getting ready to strike the first note, and it was August 3rd, 2017. 10 years, almost to the minute, that we had met in a parking lot in Memphis.
No way.
So it was kind of like there's been, so far since, the band has been brought back from the dead, so to speak.
Yeah.
There's been all these sort of little nudges from the universe and stuff that's like, hey, can kind of keep going, you know.
Yeah. And since then, like, have you felt like having a good team behind you, is that like, you know, bearing some fruit?
Yeah, I mean, we've found part of the team, and the parts that we have found are the people that are all in. And, you know, that's the type of people you want.
Totally.
You know, and
absolutely.
You know, we're missing a couple pieces of the team still, but it finally feels like this is the right track.
Yeah.
And I think those 10 years, you know, of having some management and you know, just sort of, I don't know, going through this, you know, building your career. We've had some horror stories, you know.
Sure.
But that's all I think kind of led us to where we are now, you know. And now, you know, we only want to work with people that just they may not know exactly what they're going to do with it or how, but they have to be a part of it.
Right.
You know?
Right. They're excited about it. They're passionate about it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Who produced the record?
Our buddy Nick Autry.
Who I just met.
Yeah, you met Nick a minute ago.
It's so hot in here.
Yeah, I know.
My brain has melted, and I lost that memory. Yeah.
Yeah, our buddy Nick, man. We were talking through producers and just the album and stuff. You know, Nick and I and Emily just kind of clicked. You know, we were always found ourselves talking about the same artists or bands or different same sounds and it was like, well, man, why don't you just do it? You know.
Had you worked with him before or no?
No. So Nick manages Soundstage Studios there in Nashville.
Oh, okay.
You know, Ronnie's place and where Nick Raskulinix is now.
Yeah.
And so Nick runs those studios and they're owned by the label. So that was kind of how we met Nick, you know. And, which is, you know, it's nice to have the studios there to kind of woodshed stuff whenever.
Yeah.
Whenever we come up with some new stuff.
Oh, so you get in there and
just
demo ideas
Nick,
or whatever.
and me and Emily and Nick and just kind of pound it out.
Do you have? I know your record just came out in like what, March or something. So
no, July. So
it came out in July.
5 weeks.
Oh, okay.
It's like 5. It's
right.
big.
Okay. But do you have a bunch of songs woodshedded?
Oh yeah.
For
yes.
For the next one.
Yeah. And I think, you know, especially with this song, you know, with Lay Your Head Down, we recorded 5 older songs and 7 new. You know, I think we're even more anxious now because, you know, some of those songs are really old to us. You know, they may be brand new to some people.
Yeah.
And if you listen to this record, it is all about like that, just that continual perseverance, because it feels like all we've been doing for the last 10 years is just like, okay, just keep going, never give up. So I think we're ready to like move on to the next project and it not be so, you know, but this definitely is.
The next one's going to be your party record.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just like an Andrew WK record.
Come on, y'all.
Completely out of left field.
Speaking of completely out of left field, I understand you guys have played the Grand Ole Opry like multiple times over the years. Can you talk a little bit about what that means? What that means to you, or just what that means to this genre? You know,
that's been our biggest honor to date. The first time we played it, first let me way backtrack. The first time we ever were at the Grand Ole Opry, we went on a tour with my parents and did the whole tour, and at the end
kind
of
of backstage tour kind of deal.
Yeah. And I remember my mom saying, Ben and Emily, go stand in the sacred circle, because they let you do that at the end of the tour.
Take a picture.
Nice.
And Ben was like, nope.
Oh, no.
Not going to stand in that circle until we're asked to play there. You know?
Is that like the chunk of the Ryman?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
So we already, you know, it was very hyped up in that sense already for us. And,
you know, thinking we'll never play the Grand Ole Opry.
Right.
But still, I'm not going to
stand.
I'm not going to do it.
I want to earn it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then several years later,
our good buddy Blake Chansey, who produced some stuff for us and was our manager for a short time, dear friend, he set it all up for us. He hooked it up, and I remember we were at South by Southwest. It was my birthday, and he called with good news, you know, to say, hey, on June 27th, y'all are gonna make your Opry debut.
Wow.
And he introduced us to Manuel. We got to wear like some Manuel.
No way.
Yeah,
really?
some Manuel
we
stuff.
went all out for it.
I was like, I looked at the price tag and said, wow, better not.
It's heavy.
I know.
Yeah,
It's like
really
better not
heavy.
spill any
Yes.
mustard on it. Or
Yeah.
I think you could spill anything on it. I don't think those suits care.
Yeah, they don't at all.
Just mustard.
Yeah, just- like water
Oh,
or
yeah,
something. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
But I think too, I was 7 months pregnant with Wilder, our son. And
Yeah, that's
Oh,
special
so he
too.
kind of played
That's-
the Opry too.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't
That's
earn
it.
it. He didn't do anything.
Ben was hoping I'd go into labor. Actually,
I was saying we should, as a publicity stunt, we should at least like fake a birth there.
Right,
like
right, yeah,
carry
yeah,
a watermelon
totally.
out in
Yeah.
a towel or something.
Yeah, totally. All press is good press.
Oh,
Yes.
all good.
Yeah.
Give
That's
birth
funny.
there on the stage.
We gave birth to Hank Jr.
exactly. Yeah, right.
Somehow.
So yeah, we did that. We made our debut, and it was so cool. The David Rawlings machine was there, and big fans of theirs, their songwriting, and John Paul Jones was playing with them, and
wow.
got to meet him.
Yeah.
It was super cool.
That's amazing. I
and
love
then they-
David Rawlings' guitar playing. Man.
it's
so cool.
insane.
So unique,
Yeah, one of a kind.
very much so. And and they asked us back, I think two times that summer, and then a 3-year hiatus. That was when I started. Things just weren't working out, and started teaching, and again, thought kind of all that stuff was in the rearview mirror for us. Like, man, that was really cool, but don't think we'll ever get to do that again. And
Right.
and then with the new album and stuff, they called us back up, and
Cool.
yeah, and we
nice.
so during
the
release week, we played like a CD release show there in town. We did Grimey's, the record store, and then
Nice.
we did the Opry again.
Those are two very different things.
Very-
Grimey's and the Grand Old
couldn't
Opry.
agree more. And that's kind of what we wanted for
Yeah.
release weekend.
Yeah.
Like just
That kinda sums
little
it
bit
all
of
up
everything,
right there, yeah.
And it was cool to be able to have both of our kids there with us backstage.
Experience it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That's great. Do you guys, speaking of the Grand Old Opry, this is sort of the Grand Old Opry of podcasts, I like to call it. Would you like to play a song?
Yeah.
That'd be fantastic. And what, I guess before we do that, what's next for you guys? I mean, if your record just came out, I imagine you're on the at the front end of a long year or two.
Yeah, and that's what's so great, like that we get to be full time at this again, and just really put ourselves out there, and we're just gonna keep looking forward.
Yeah, I think we really want to get back into the studio, pretty soon. I mean,
Probably
like this winter or something, and kind of woodshed some stuff, and continue to tour this record through the spring, and really looking to not headline stuff, and would love to hop on a tour with one of our peers or something.
Yeah. I'm gonna switch this and have you sing into this one.
This is a song from the new album called "We Were Young Once" too.
This old world will chew you up and spit you out without ever asking a question about how you doing or who you are. Days go by, soon become days gone by. You never get to question time. It comes and goes. Come back, baby, come back, let's rewind. Come back, baby, let's go back in time. You and I, we were young once too. You and I, we were young once too. Babies cry, a mother's touch in a schoolyard fire, a summer night and the way it smelled after the rain fell. Day first kiss and day first dance, the moment grabbed your hand and gave my heart. Oh, let's go back to the start. Come back, baby, come back, let's rewind. Come back, baby, let's go back in time. You and I, we were young once too. You and I, we were young once. You and I, we were young once too. You and I, we were young once too. Come back, baby, come back, let's rewind. Come back, baby, let's go back in time. You and I, we were young once too. You and I, we were young once. You and I, we were young once too. You and I, we were young once.
Yeah. That sounded amazing.
Dude,
Thank
thanks,
you.
brother.
Thank you.
To you just sit right here in front of me and do that. It's like, it's powerful.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming down.
Man,
Yeah.
thank you for having us.
Heavy to hold.
All right, that was Ben and Emily from Carolina Story. Wow, the power of two people sitting down and singing together just knocks you out, doesn't it? That was great. Make sure you get on over to walkingthefloor.com. I'm going to post links to things we talked about, and you can check out where they are and go see their shows and buy their t-shirts and do all that great stuff. And thanks again to Fender Play for their support. If any listeners out there interested in learning to play guitar without the usual hurdles, make sure to check out your free trial of Fender Play by visiting fender.com/walkingthefloor. And get on over to chrisshiflettmusic.com. Get your tickets to the Elizabeth Cook, Chris Shiflett, Kendall Marvel tour. It's happening 2019, baby. All the links, all the dates, it's all there. I'll see you in a couple weeks. Adios, amigos!